We have a very important and historic event coming up next weekend. Amanda Serrano versus Danila Ramos. This event will take place on the 27th of October and will be showcased on DAZN. This will be the first fight in women boxing history where they fight for 3-minute 12 rounds. So grab your popcorn, boys and girls. They're going to put on a showcase, an absolute barnstormer. The women always bring it each and every time. What an absolute statement. I'm so happy to see this occur. It's been a long time coming, and I do think the women deserve to obviously showcase their skills in the same breath as us men. And props to Jake Paul, props to DAZN for obviously showcasing it. It's definitely a great move and change, which I think was well needed in women's boxing. Women's boxing is going strength to strength. You've got people like Claressa Shields, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, all representing, all flying that flag for women's boxing. They're doing wonders. They're making a massive impact. They've brought this sport for their gender to the pinnacle that it is, and they've gathered interest and intrigue. I don't think the sport, especially for women's boxing, has been as big as it's ever been today. So just massive kudos to them. The women are making groundbreaking statements at the moment. I remember when I attended an event with my sister. We went to the Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall fight at the O2 Arena for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. And it was an all-female card, first ever done in Britain. I'm not sure if it's been done elsewhere, but yeah, it was an all-female card, first ever done, and that was another historic event ticked off for women. Massive event. The atmosphere was electric. People loved it. There was a bit of a different crowd there too. You had your men and women, but there seemed to be a lot more women in the crowd, which was nice to see. Normally boxing's very male dominated, so it definitely brought in a different crowd, and it was a night to remember. I really enjoy female boxing. Whenever they jump in the ring, they just put everything on the line. There's no backward step. They just go toe to toe and sling it out. There's no wishy-washy stuff like we see from the men sometimes. No complaining if they get hit on the back of the head. They just get stuck in, get their guards up, their heads in, go towards each other and have a good scrap. Women's sport is just going strength to strength. You only have to watch football to see the men get tackled and then they complain like they've been hit by like a 20-wheeler truck. Women get tackled and they just brush it off, carry on playing like the lionesses they are. I think a good thing about this change, if they do consider it permanently, is that we are going to see more definitive winners across a 12-round stretch. When you have a close fight in women's boxing, it's often quite hard to score, and more often than not, it ends up in a draw. Implementing 3-minute rounds should, in theory, bring an end to this. The problem with 2-minute rounds is it's over before you know it. Like when you have women slinging bombs to both body and head, it really is, it's quite hard sometimes to pick a winner when they're both throwing the same volume, they're both throwing to the same sort of tenacity. They're really just both going at it to win and just kind of get the scoring sort of shots. With women in boxing, it's more outbursts than actual like picking shots. So I think with this concept, we'll actually see the better boxers shine here rather than it just being very volume heavy. I mean, I'd still love to see the women go at it how they are at the moment, just smashing each other in the face. But hopefully with this change, we'll see a clear winner round to round. Another great thing about this change is quite evidently we're going to see more knockouts. The longer the fights draw out, the more probability that knockouts will be displayed. We'll see some highlight reel knockouts, and I think that's something that's missing from female boxing at the moment. Obviously we see them now and then, but not as often as probably the boxing audience would like. I've seen it time and time again where a boxer ends up getting saved by the bell because the rounds are so short. They end up getting hurt earlier in the round, and then they get saved by the bell, and they've recovered in that minute and they're ready to go again. So with this, it's going to draw it out a little bit longer. There's no escape, and if they are hurt, they're going to get done. I think if this change is implemented permanently, boy oh boy, we're going to see some wars, absolute wars, especially whilst they're adjusting to this change, and crazy surreal knockouts. And I am looking forward to it. I am excited for it. There could be some downsides to this change though, but potentially this could just be teething issues. Women could potentially be zapped of all energy, not be able to compete as well as they did before. The fights that we see could potentially look a bit boring, but I think, to be honest, they're trained, and they apparently train 3-minute rounds anyway, so I can't see this being an issue. One thing I do enjoy about women boxing at the moment is that women's boxing is action-packed throughout. This is because they put everything on the line. Every minute, every second counts in these rounds, so they literally just go for the broke every single round and just sling those shots constantly. And that's why, you know, people like Katie Taylor, people like Claressa Shields, people like Amanda Serrano are so popular, because they're just relentless beings. But yeah, I hope this tenacity and pressure isn't lost in women's boxing, as this is something that I personally really enjoy about the difference between men and women's boxing. But like I said, what we'll most likely see is, with these longer drawn out rounds, we'll see better boxing displayed, and we will see these knockouts. To add to this as well, obviously whenever any fighter gets in the ring, there's always an element of risk. They're putting their lives in danger, and with these longer drawn out rounds, could we potentially see more people badly hurt, sustain more injuries, get hospitalized, and potential death? Obviously with these longer drawn out rounds, the probability of that occurring is higher. But all in all, why shouldn't they obviously have the same sort of rule set? Why not? Fighters, when they get in the ring, they know the risks at stake. They know if it's 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, their lives are a potential risk. Ultimately, it's the hurt business, it's the pain business, and they know what they've signed up for. So I don't think that sort of argument should really be had. As I said, it could potentially happen. Ultimately, it could happen walking down the road. You can cross the road and get hit by a bus. You could get into the first minute of a bout and it happening. It all just depends, doesn't it? Anyway, I think it's a great change. I'm happy they've implemented it. It's definitely going to make women's boxing a lot more exciting, I personally believe. Hopefully it will be a permanent change. Hopefully that tenacity and pressure is still applied, because that is something I do currently love about women's boxing. The women, whenever they fight, they put an absolute show on. They're just lionesses. They just go at each other's throats. With these longer fights, longer rounds, we're going to see the better boxing, more knockouts, highlight reel knockouts, and I'm all for that. I also hope that this will mean that women are paid the same as men. They're doing the same thing. They're throwing punches, they're getting in the ring, they're risking their lives. So that, for me, is important. If they're doing the same thing, they're fighting on the same cards, they're putting on the same show, they deserve the pay, the packages, the event, the hotels, the lot. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you drop a subscribe, like and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bash!